narrator. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast's Intermediate Guide series. Today we're exploring the fascinating intersection of nature and culture, describing local climate and seasonal activities. Whether you're planning a trip, engaging in small talk with new acquaintances, or simply trying to understand the rhythms of a new place, being able to talk about weather patterns, typical temperatures, and the unique activities tied to each season is incredibly valuable. It's about more than just reporting the forecast. It's about understanding a region's pulse and connecting with its way of life. How do you inquire about the nuances of a local climate, express preferences for certain weather conditions, or understand the best times for specific seasonal events without sounding overly simplistic or misinformed? What language allows you to describe different weather phenomena, discuss temperature variations, or explain how local traditions and daily life adapt to the changing seasons? And crucially, how do you engage in these conversations with cultural sensitivity, appreciating how climate shapes everything from agriculture to festivals in different parts of the world? This episode is designed to equip you with the essential vocabulary, descriptive techniques, and cultural insights necessary to approach discussions about local climate and seasonal activities with clarity, curiosity, and a genuine appreciation for the natural world's influence on human life. Today's discussion moves beyond basic weather terms, delving into the nuances of microclimates, the impact of climate change on traditional seasons, and the rich tapestry of seasonal celebrations. We are privileged to host a conversation between Dr. Lena Petrova, a leading climatologist and environmental geographer at the University of Zurich, Switzerland, and Mr. Kenji Sato, a seasoned cultural tourism expert and author of Seasons of the World, who works from his office in Kyoto, Japan. Their dialogue will illuminate the best practices and common pitfalls in discussing local climate and seasonal activities, offering you a richer understanding of how climate shapes communities and cultures. So, let's explore the intricacies and vibrant connections of truly mastering the conversation around local climate and seasonal activities. Lena, Kenji, it's a genuine pleasure to finally connect with you. Your expertise in cultural tourism must give you a unique perspective on how climate influences human activity and celebration. From your perspective, when someone is preparing to discuss local climate and seasonal activities, what are your initial, most crucial considerations for them to keep in mind? Is it about simply mentioning if it's hot or cold, or is there a preliminary step of understanding the region's specific climatic characteristics? Kenji, Lena, the pleasure is entirely mutual. Your scientific insights as a climatologist provide such a vital grounding for understanding the natural forces that shape cultural experiences. When someone is preparing to discuss local climate and seasonal activities, my initial consideration is always a preliminary step of understanding the region's specific climatic characteristics, rather than simply mentioning if it's hot or cold. It's crucial for them to first grasp the typical annual patterns. Is it a distinct rainy season? Are there long dry periods? What are the average temperatures and humidity levels? This helps avoid generalizations and fosters a more informed conversation. My foundational groundwork always involves asking, what are the dominant climatic features that define life in Porto, for instance, and how do they impact daily routines and local traditions? Do you find that a lack of this specific climatic knowledge often leads to misinterpretations of local life? Lena, absolutely, Kenji. Your emphasis on understanding specific climatic characteristics and dominant features is unequivocally fundamental. A lack of this specific knowledge is indeed one of the most common and detrimental pitfalls, often leading to broad generalizations that miss the unique rhythms of a place, or misunderstandings about local adaptations. Without that nuance, conversations can be superficial. My research shows that appreciating the regional climate deepens one's understanding of everything from agriculture to architecture. What specific linguistic strategies do you employ to inquire about the nuances of a local climate or express preferences for certain weather conditions without sounding overly simplistic or misinformed? Kenji, that's where detailed, comparative questioning and framing preferences respectfully become paramount, Lena. My primary strategy for inquiring about climatic nuances involves asking questions that invite specific information and avoid assumptions. Instead of a blunt, "Is it hot here?" I'd articulate. Could you describe the typical humidity levels during the summer months in Bangkok? Or, how significant are the temperature fluctuations between day and night in the high desert regions of Nevada? When expressing preferences, I'd frame it around my comfort or activity plans, not as a judgment. I tend to struggle with very humid weather, so I'm curious about the driest period to visit the Amazon basin. Or we're hoping to do a lot of outdoor cycling, so we're looking for recommendations on the best months with milder temperatures in Provence. I also often preface my questions with phrases like, I'm trying to get a better sense of, or, I'm curious about how the local climate influences, to show a desire for depth. Do you find that a reliance on common stereotypes about a region's climate often hinders a deeper understanding? Lena. That's an excellent approach, Kenji, and your use of detailed, comparative questioning and framing preferences respectfully is precisely what leads to truly informative conversations. And yes, a reliance on common stereotypes about a region's climate is a very common and frustrating pitfall, often preventing a deeper understanding of its unique microclimates and seasonal shifts. My research suggests that moving beyond broad categories, tropical, desert, to specific conditions offers much richer insights. What role does describing different weather phenomena and discussing temperature variations play in painting a vivid picture of a local climate? And how do you verbally explain how local traditions and daily life adapt to the changing seasons? Kenji. Describing specific weather phenomena and temperature variations is the brushstroke that paints a vivid climatic picture, Lena. It brings the generalized hot or cold to life. I verbally explain these by using descriptive adjectives and comparing them to common experiences. Instead of just, it rains a lot, I'd say, the monsoons in Kuala Lumpur bring incredibly heavy, almost torrential downpours that can last for hours, transforming the city streets into glistening rivers. For temperatures, I might add nuances. While the average temperature in Rome during October is pleasant, the evenings can have a crisp chill, so you'll want a light jacket for dining al fresco. To explain adaptation, I connect the climate directly to daily life and traditions. Because of the intense summer heat, many businesses in Seville close for a siesta in the afternoon, and evenings become the main time for social activity. Or the winter festivals in Quebec City truly come alive with the first snowfall, which locals eagerly anticipate for ice sculpting and outdoor markets. This linkage between climate and culture makes the description much more engaging. How do you approach the challenge of discussing the impact of climate change on traditional seasons without sounding alarmist, but still conveying its significance? Lena. Kenji, your ability to connect weather phenomena to daily life and traditions, using vivid descriptive language, is truly masterful. The challenge of discussing the impact of climate change on traditional seasons requires a balanced approach that is factual and objective yet conveys the significance, without sounding alarmist. My approach focuses on observable changes and their practical implications for local communities, drawing on scientific data. I use phrases like, we've been observing a trend of later thaws/earlier spring blooms in the Swiss Alps over the past decade. Or the frequency of extreme heat events in Athens has noticeably increased, impacting agricultural yields and water availability. I connect it to what locals might already be experiencing. Winemakers in the Bordeaux region are finding that the traditional harvest schedules are less reliable now due to unpredictable rainfall patterns. I also emphasize the ongoing nature of the change. It's a gradual shift that we're seeing globally, and its specific manifestations here in Australia's outback are becoming more apparent in terms of specific impact. This grounds the discussion in reality without resorting to sensationalism. What are the common pitfalls individuals fall into when trying to discuss local climate and seasonal activities, and how can they be avoided? Kenji. Lena, your method of grounding climate change discussions in observable facts and practical local impacts is incredibly effective for conveying significance responsibly. The common pitfalls individuals fall into when trying to discuss local climate and seasonal activities often include oversimplification, reducing complex weather patterns to generic terms like always hot or always rainy. Another pitfall is imposing their own climatic expectations. assuming that seasons will behave exactly as they do in their home region. Ignoring local adaptations or cultural responses to climate is also common, missing a key part of the story. Some might engage in complaining about the weather excessively, which can be seen as disrespectful to locals who live with it daily. There's also the pitfall of relying solely on basic forecasts without understanding the broader seasonal context, leading to surprise. Lastly, asking insensitive questions about how locals cope with challenging weather, implying a lack of resilience, is a significant pitfall. To avoid these, individuals should research the specific region's climate beyond simple temperature readings. They should approach local weather with an open mind and curiosity, rather than judgment. They should pay attention to how locals dress, eat, and schedule their days in response to seasons. They should frame observations neutrally or with admiration for local resilience. They should seek context for forecasts within the annual climatic patterns. And crucially, they should ask questions that express genuine interest in local life and traditions as shaped by the climate. How do you believe the increasing accessibility of real-time weather data and personalized climate apps impacts people's ability to discuss local climate and seasonal activities, for better or worse? Lena. Kenji, your comprehensive list of pitfalls and proactive avoidance strategies, particularly the emphasis on open-mindedness and cultural sensitivity, is incredibly valuable for authentic engagement. The increasing accessibility of real-time weather data and personalized climate apps certainly has a complex and often contradictory impact on people's ability to discuss local climate and seasonal activities. On one hand, these tools offer unparalleled precision, hyperlocal forecasts, hourly updates, historical data, and personalized alerts for London's unpredictable showers or Dubai's heat. This can empower individuals to plan activities with incredible accuracy, avoid unexpected rain, or dress appropriately, leading to more comfortable experiences. However, the worse side is significant. Over-reliance on apps can lead to a disconnection from direct observation of the environment, reducing one's intuitive understanding of weather patterns. It can also foster a culture of constant checking and anxiety about minor weather shifts, rather than simply adapting. There's a risk of becoming overly focused on numbers and predictions, missing the broader ecological and cultural implications of seasonal changes, like the timing of olive harvests in Greece or salmon runs in Alaska. So, while powerful tools for immediate planning, they demand conscious effort to ensure they enhance one's understanding and connection to a place's climate, rather than replacing direct experience and nuanced conversation. In your final analysis, what are the ultimate rewards or transformations that an individual gains from truly mastering the art of discussing local climate and seasonal activities effectively? Kenji. Lena, your astute analysis of real-time weather data highlighting both its precision and the risk of disconnection from direct observation perfectly captures this modern paradox. The ultimate rewards or transformations that an individual gains from truly mastering the art of discussing local climate and seasonal activities effectively are manifold and deeply enriching. It cultivates an incredible sense of place-based understanding and cultural empathy, allowing them to appreciate how deeply intertwined human life is with natural cycles. This leads to significantly enhanced travel experiences and more meaningful interactions with locals, as they can engage in informed conversations and participate respectfully in seasonal events, from Oktoberfest in Munich to the cherry blossom viewing in Washington, D.C. A proficient individual gains greater adaptability and resourcefulness, learning to plan activities and adjust expectations based on climatic realities. It fosters a powerful sense of connection to the natural world, becoming more attuned to its rhythms and variations. Beyond personal benefits, it contributes to a more informed global perspective on environmental issues and human resilience. Perhaps most profoundly, mastering this art transforms the concept of visiting a place, from merely seeing sights, to experiencing its living, breathing environment and understanding the stories written by its skies and seasons. It's the difference between being a transient observer and a genuinely connected visitor. Narrator. What an exceptionally illuminating and profound conversation with Dr. Lena Petrova and Mr. Kenji Sato. Their expert insights have masterfully illuminated the critical nuances involved in discussing local climate and seasonal activities, from understanding regional characteristics and using descriptive language to appreciating cultural adaptations and navigating the impact of technology. Their dialogue powerfully underscores that effective climate discussion is not just about facts, but about cultural sensitivity, genuine curiosity, and a deep appreciation for the environment's influence on human life. Now, let's consolidate some of the key vocabulary and concepts from their rich dialogue that you can integrate into your own conversations about climate and culture. Practice session. Expressing yourself. Let's revisit some valuable phrases and concepts from today's in-depth episode. Practice using these in your own discussions about local climate and seasonal activities. Preliminary step of understanding the region's specific climatic characteristics. An initial stage of grasping the particular weather patterns of an area. Unequivocally fundamental. Absolutely essential or crucial. Dominant climatic features. The most important or prevalent weather characteristics that define a region. Detailed comparative questioning and framing preferences respectfully. Asking precise questions and expressing what you like in a polite way, often by comparing. Nuances of a local climate. The subtle differences and complexities in a region's weather. Brushstroke that paints a vivid climatic picture. A descriptive detail that helps create a clear image of the climate. Observable changes and their practical implications for local communities. Looking at changes that can be seen and how they affect people living there. Reliance on common stereotypes, depending too much on widespread, often inaccurate beliefs about a climate. Complex and often contradictory impact, an effect that is complicated and seems to go against itself. Manifold and deeply enriching, many and having a very profound and positive effect. Choose 3 of these phrases and explain how they might relate to discussing the climate and activities of a specific place you know or would like to visit. For example, when planning a trip to the Scottish Highlands, I always take the preliminary step of understanding the region's specific climatic characteristics, especially the nuances of its unpredictable rainfall, as that's unequivocally fundamental to packing correctly for hiking. Instead of just saying Arizona is hot, I'd use detailed comparative questioning and framing preferences respectfully to ask about the dominant climatic features like dry heat versus humid heat, or the significant temperature drops at night. The observable changes and their practical implications for local communities in Venice, such as more frequent high tides, illustrate the complex and often contradictory impact of climate change on tourism and preservation efforts. Narrator. As Dr. Lena Petrova and Mr. Kenji Sato so eloquently articulated, mastering the art of discussing local climate and seasonal activities is a skill that empowers you to connect more deeply with places and their people. It's about cultivating curiosity, appreciating cultural adaptations, and understanding the profound influence of the natural world. By embracing specific vocabulary, descriptive techniques, and a culturally sensitive approach, you can transform simple weather talk into a gateway for rich learning and genuine connection. Until our next insightful discussion on the English Learning Podcast, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the amazing connections between climate and culture.